Good evening and welcome to the Standards of Geekness podcast. I'm one and a half of the hosts, Evan Jones,
Hi,
joined
everybody.
by.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was. Go ahead. You can introduce me.
I was just saying, joined by.
Oh, hi. I'm Brian Mercer. Um, Welcome to the Standards of Geekness podcast, everybody. We're streaming now on multi-platforms. Bigger, better, more exciting.
Yes,
Very good.
indeed.
Very evil.
We are on both Twitch and YouTube live right now. Your boy's been hard at work figuring these things out, putting in a lot of work designing Pokemon Pocket content and Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel just to kind of test the waters, see what we can do. As many of you who follow the podcast for a while know, we're nerds here first and foremost. Wrestling nerds, gaming nerds, history nerds, sports nerds. I guess let's dive right in with kind of a sports slash wrestling thing. Seth Rollins on, I believe it was a red carpet for an event, might have been for the Rumble. Compared the Luka Doncic trade that the Los Angeles Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks made this past week. I know, Brian, you're not really a basketball guy. Luka Doncic, he's 25 years old. He's like one of the top three players in the world. The Dallas Mavericks shit the bed basically on a trade. Traded like their best player that they've had in the last 20 years, forever, for like no offense to AD, but a broken down former world champ and a bag of chips. It's he made the comparison that it'd be like trading John Cena for MJF.
Dude, don't sleep on a bag of chips, man.
I know you're
Like
just
you don't know the
hot West Coast
value
takes
of a
lately.
good bag of
That's
chips. I mean, I'm gonna eat the hell out of these things.
what flavor are they?
Well, these are just original, brother.
Oh man,
Original.
I'm a barbecue chip kind of guy, so. But yeah, so it kind of stirred up a lot of controversy within the wrestling community. Some people were taken aback. Obviously, tribalism is a huge thing, but I wanted to get your thoughts, and then I'm going to give my thoughts on it.
I mean, you kind of said it. I don't really know much about basketball. Um, so this is a dog. I don't really have a fight in.
Well,
Yeah,
let me put it into
fight. I don't
context
have a
that
dog
you would think of. It'd be like trading Jared Goff for a bag of potato chips.
in. Look, I mean, obviously, okay. So there's kind of like two ways to look at this. There's always like the way of building for the future, and then there's the way of looking at the what you can get out of it in the right now. Um, I think just in the very minimal that you've told me here, it sounds like they're more in you know um, you're more interested in the right now than the long term, which is always a bad decision because when you talk about the right now, it could literally just be right now. Tomorrow could start tomorrow, and and then so I'm a firm believer in always building for the future. So sounds like a dumb decision to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a multifaceted thing. In terms of what actually happened is basically Luca was up for $325 million, $349 million, $100 million 5 year contract, a supermax. And the new owners of the Dallas Mavericks, it's not Mark Cuban anymore, even though he's still a minority owner. They're very rich billionaires. They own casinos. They're trying to push to get casinos into Dallas. They basically failed at every facet of this. And they're positioning themselves to threaten to leave to go to Vegas, which doesn't have an NBA team right now. There's been a lot of weird NBA ownership politics involved in this situation, but ultimately, I don't think this was a move to put Dallas in a position to win a championship. I think it was a move to kind of force the hand of, hey, okay, well, we're going to make this franchise suck, and it's sad to me to see because Dallas was in the finals last year. As far as Seth Rollins' comments, so I'm kind of in the middle of the camps here. I hate tribalism. I hate the WWE versus AEW bullshit. I think it's lazy. I think it's passe. I think it just makes us all look dumb. And wrestling fans have already have a big enough hurdle to get over justifying being wrestling fans. That said, I think healthy competition is a good thing, and I don't mind a dig here and there. MJF dig, he makes digs about Cody Rhodes and other WWE things all the time. Hell, he made a dig at John Moxley when he's in a picture the other day. Healthy,
Hold on though.
okay.
There's a difference with what MJF is doing. The difference is MJF is using the names of WWE superstars and WWE in general in order to further himself, to make himself appear bigger. And I do understand to an extent where Seth Rollins is coming from. Now, I don't agree with the comment that like there's nobody in AEW.
Yeah, and that was my next point is so we have the last few weeks for those you've been following us on YouTube, we have kind of shit on AEW because they've kind of dropped the ball when it comes to booking correctly, at least in our opinions. It's just been really inconsistent. They've had good shows, and actually, AEW Dynamite this past week, that's one of the best Dynamites I've ever seen. Like I watched it live, good.
It's funny, like to hear Seth Rollins say this when Penta debuted fresh from AEW like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. Like it really hasn't been that long since the Netflix debut.
Yeah, I think we're just over a month. Yeah, this is like the fourth or fifth Raw tonight. So yeah, it's odd to me, and I understand why MJF does it. He gets the reaction. He's able to make himself seem bigger, get a bigger pop from the smarks. I get it. Seth's comments, I get. It is like trading John Cena for MJF. Both men are hella talented, but he was wrong, dead wrong when he said there are no stars there. Despite the fact that we have shit all over John Moxley in the Death Rider story, Moxley is a star.
Mm-hmm.
Claudio's kind of a star. Wheeler Yuta eventually probably will be a star. The bastard Pac is a star. Marina Shafir might be a star one day. There's Edge. I'm not going to call him Copeland at this point. I'm sorry, I'm fucking not.
Let me ask you, Evan. Let me ask you. Okay, you're on you work for WWE. You can bring in two superstars from AEW right now, but they can't have worked for WWE in the past. Who are you going with?
Well, one of them I was going to. Until you added that caveat, was going to be Swerve. So we'll put him to the side. Probably MJF. I would have said Tony Storm. Harley Cameron. I think she's phenomenally talented. She's got a little more of the sports entertainment side to her. I'm a huge fan of what she can do. I mean, she can actually sing, which is great. Honestly, I could see her being a female Chris Jericho one day, minus the sticking around too long and not putting over people.
For me, I was going to say Okada and Ospreay.
Yeah,
I think both of those guys are already at that high level. You know what I mean?
I almost went that route with them, but I wanted to do something a little different with my second choice, just because to me, the three biggest stars that have never, well, four if you include Hangman, that have never.
I thought about saying Hangman. I thought about saying
MJF, it's Hangman, and it's the two you mentioned. And obviously, if WWE was to ever land any of them, it'd be a huge boon for them. Okada, he's making buku bucks. He's getting paid in yen just to say bitch and troll people. It's great. But I just think downplaying, it's kind of like punching down, like bullying a little bit. It's like kicking the nerd on the playground when they're down. That makes sense?
It makes total sense. I was here last week with Daniel. I remember what happened.
I'm glad we are in agreement on what actually happened. Yeah, so you had mentioned you wanted to discuss this next topic in the news. Charlotte Flair.
All right. So, This really bothered me, and it bothers me for a very different reason. Like, okay, like they've already course corrected on, okay, now she's a heel, or she's going to work the heel side heading into WrestleMania. But the the tone deaf to the fans attitude of sending her out in the first place
Yeah,
to
that was a
like
very
work
Vince
as a
move.
baby face.
That was a very
It
Vince move, in my
baffles me.
opinion. It's a Vince move.
Yeah.
Like Charlotte, I don't think has ever really been a babyface. She's been more over as a heel. Her persona's heel. They present her like a heel. They present her kind of like rich, spoiled, entitled kid, and they have her win the Rumble, which it is what it is. It's happened now. She's in the title scene. She comes out and she cuts a babyface promo, a cringy babyface promo. She gets into a verbal sparring match with Rhea Ripley. Rhea's
What
gonna beat
again?
her ass.
Again,
Nobody
though,
wants that.
like we gotta pause here. You're sending out Rhea Bloody Ripley, the most over woman in the like. I would say
In the sport.
in wrestling right now.
It's
Rhea
127.
Ripley is the most over woman, like, and then there's a distant second. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
There's
true.
nobody on par with Rhea right at this moment.
At least in terms of how they booked. And like bring Charlotte is a talent who they've had two different matches before. They're 1-1. To me, it was like you said, tone deaf. It was just not. It's like they couldn't read the room and they were just like sticking to what they thought would work and forcing it. Um, it just was a cringy promo. They did redeem themselves on NXT where she came out and talked about potentially challenging for the NXT title, which I like when they do that because it makes the NXT brand seem a little more prestigious. There's a little more oomph to it.
I
Especially
I
having
could
Bailey down
see
there.
that. I could see that more out of like a Chelsea Green or a Piper Niven. Okay, if Piper Niven wanted to go down to NXT from the main roster right now and be like, "Yo, I'm gonna go after the NXT title," I think that gives it more credibility. But I think when you have Charlotte Flair, we're trying to present her as like the queen of women's wrestling of all time, and so how is she going to get her world title? She's going to go to the undercard.
Well, I think the problem is you're viewing it as the undercard.
I think that's how it's portrayed. They still okay. Look,
It is portrayed as less than. I
it's
will give
it's
you that.
it's straight up. They straight up say that you get called up from
Yes.
NXT. The same way that in like ball clubs, you get
It's
called up
minor.
from AAA to the
Yeah, no,
majors.
I completely agree. I think the problem is the way of thinking is, and for me, this is the reason it works for me is the fact that it essentially adds a value to the brand with minimal cost. You're not jeopardizing a storyline by doing it. Charlotte can add a world championship to her, chase to match her dad. It's kind of along the lines of Cena winning the Rumble and challenging Joe Hendry. Same logic.
But but it's different because you're talking about Cena now versus Cena in 2007. That's a different John Cena.
I guess
Like
so.
it's the difference between saying like, okay, if Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out now, it's not to say that Stone Cold Steve Austin isn't still an ass kicker. Is he the ass kicker though that he was in 2001?
No,
No. You don't expect you don't expect Stone Cold like John or Stone Cold. He could come out and like he can give a handful of stunners to people and everything, but at the end of the day, that guy at the top of the card, your Roman Reigns, your Cody Rhodes, Stone Cold isn't gonna go over on Roman Reigns. You
Hmm.
know why? Because if Stone Cold could theoretically go over on Roman Reigns, he'd still be fucking doing this.
I mean, you have a
Like,
fair point. I think my problem with the logic is I don't think it. I think it's kind of dismissive of what they're trying to do, and it adds prestige. I think saying it's a step down is correct. It is. It's here's the main roster. Here's NXT. It is a step down. We can all agree to that. The problem is we want to position this NXT brand as still having prestige. Currently, NXT has their cream of the crop is rising to the top. Their batch of stars are going to go up, bringing down a couple of the older generation ones. You know, I always hate saying the older generation when Bailey and Charlotte are my age, but like bringing them down to have them help. You know, even if they don't win, you know, get a rub on the younger talent, it adds a level of credibility in and of itself to them and to the brand.
but what I'm saying is that if we're like putting titles on tier levels, obviously your world titles, the WWE or Universal title needs to be at the tippity top.
Yes.
When we got the US and Intercontinental title, we'll both agree that those are supposed to be on equal setting with each other. I would say that the NXT World Champion is on par with the Intercontinental, especially when you see guys like Braun Breaker immediately come in from NXT, from being an NXT champion, and go right into capturing the Intercontinental title in short order. Like that's not that wasn't unbelievable at all. Now for him to go straight after the Universal title, no, he's
Yeah.
not there yet.
Yeah.
But we can look at him going after the Intercontinental title and go,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a
I
fucking
don't.
beast.
Yeah, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm just saying I think that far too often people just immediately dismiss it as an option because it's a step down. And I think that
I
it's worth at least considering. And I think that's why they did it. And then she ran a segment with Tiffany on SmackDown. It was actually really interesting because it's a heel versus heel if you were to run that match right there. And
mhm.
I don't think having Charlotte be a babyface in that match is correct. I don't
Well,
think her versus Tiffany is correct. I
I
think
think I think Tiffy is turning herself babyface in short order,
well,
though.
and I think that's what's going to happen with Tiffany is and I could see her turning babyface on Charlotte if they do run this. I could see that happening at Mania where Tiffany is the babyface, Charlotte's the heel. The
I don't
problem
think
is
it's people
Tiffany's character.
liked people. No, people like Tiffy's character.
Well, yeah, it's
Peop She has a character that I think people want to cheer, but they know they're not supposed to, and they're
mhm,
not going to disrespect her enough to boo her. Like, but okay, you had her with Nia Jax, right?
yeah.
And they were doing all the stuff. It was Nia that was the actual bad guy there. When it comes to Tiffy's interaction, the real interaction was when's she gonna turn on her? When's she
And we
gonna
got it.
turn on her?
Yeah.
Like, it was only a matter of time. And ultimately, if you turn on a heel, doesn't that kind of make you a babyface?
It should, unless you're Dominic Mysterio. Then you
I
somehow
mean,
heel turn into
heel
heel
turn
turn.
into a heel turn. The man is a freaking legend.
Telling you, man, he's going to be WWE champion at some point in the next 5 years.
I'm
Chicken
all
shit.
for it.
I mean,
I'm with it, man. I'm with it.
I was not his biggest fan when he came onto the roster. I didn't like it the way they presented him. They made him kind of look like a bitch. Um, but yeah, I mean, it works, and it works especially as a chicken shit heel. You can present yourself as a bitch and get away with it.
Uh, he leans into it so well. I think
Hmm.
that's a big part of it. Like, to have that kind of character, you really have to embrace it and
Hmm.
to lean into it. And he does it masterfully. And I think that the thing that people forget a lot of times with professional wrestling is, you're ideally supposed to be going out there and looking all like macho and shit, and to present your character as that weaker that
Mhm.
weaker face that's still somehow a threat. Um, there's a nuance to that that I
It's
think
lost on a lot
gets
of people.
yeah. What's easy is to go out there and be the big scary guy with all the muscles.
Yeah, well, it's two most difficult things in my personal opinion for people to do in wrestling: present themselves as a babyface and present themselves as a chicken shit heel. It's easy to be the bad guy, and it's a little harder to be the good guy. But you're embracing being presented as nefarious, cunning, and kind of weaker to get your cunning personality over. That takes a special personality, and not a lot of people can pull that off. I mean, if they could, well, they'd be in Washington D.C. right now.
I told you, man. I told you. You get me
I
talking
had to get nice and
politics,
in there.
and we're gonna
Uh,
end up here for hours.
yeah,
Let's
no,
not do
we
that.
don't get into this. We generally keep politics separate. If you ask us, we'll talk privately, or we can have a whole other politics conversation on a different podcast. But yeah, we just sometimes we make jokes, we crack lots of quippy, funny shit
Vote for
about
Pedro.
politics. Vote for
Vote for
Pedro, yeah.
Pedro.
And then we had a batch of releases over the past weekend, so I kind of wanted to start this off. Uh, Authors of Pain, Common Razor, and Paul Ellering released again. This is like the third time. Um, at at some point, I think that I think their act can still work, maybe in a different place, maybe in like a GCW or TNA.
TNA.
Uh, Cedric Alexander, I think he fits in AEW. I think the Hurt Syndicate is a perfect place for him. Give Hurt Business as it is fully fleshed out. Sonya Deville was one that kind of caught me off guard. I know she'd had some issues in the past, but honestly, ever since they split her from Mandy Rose, they kind of they dropped the ball with her. If we're being honest, uh, they stuck her with this. No offense to her, to Zoe Starks, or to Shayna Baszler, but this Pure Fusion Collective garbage ass fucking name. Whoever came up with that, you deserve to be like taken out back and firmly talked to by a Karen.
I think part of the problem is there's there's been a giant shift in the way that women's wrestling is done over the
Mm-hmm.
last, you know, 20 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And for the better, for the better. But in that there's still a level of finding your footing,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think that we've seen the best of women's wrestling yet.
No, I think the next 10 years is gonna be a boon, in particular for women's wrestling. Honestly, Sonya Deville, I think women of wrestling would be a great spot for her to go. Maybe some of the indies to kind of recapture her character a little bit, define it a little bit more. There's obviously talent there. It's just I don't think WWE really ever gave her a chance. They kind of moved on to Mandy Rose and focused on that.
So I have kind of an interesting theory on some of this stuff. Um, I think that there might be more to the WWE TNA partnership than first meets the eye. Um, you know, there's another name you didn't say yet, and that's Giovanni Vinci.
I was
That
going
was,
down the list. He's down there, a couple more names down.
and that was one that really surprised me because, like, there was nothing wrong with Imperium.
I
Like
think I
Imperium,
think that was a personnel thing. I think moving him away from them, I think, was due to the other two not getting along with him. That's just the vibe I get from it.
um, I've I heard a report earlier today that there was actually a strong plan for him creatively moving forward to get a big push, and then something fell through, Um, and all of a sudden he was just jobbed out twice and let go with the new gimmick because
Yeah, they didn't.
he had debuted with
After
that new gimmick
yeah,
and
after he left
like
Imperium, they didn't really give him a chance. That's kind of a common theme with a lot of the people on this list. Next up we've got Blair Davenport, aka Bree Priestley. I think she's going to make her way back to Japan. Um, they've got Marigold, which is another WWE partnership over in Japan. Uh, and then Isla Dawn. This one actually really bothered me just because I've been a huge fan of hers for a while, and they did the whole witchy gimmick in NXT. Got her and sorry, it's a little late in the evening, guys. I'm blanking on the other girl's name. Basically, her and her partner got over with the gimmick in NXT, and then they became tag champs, and then boosted them right up to the roster. They then dropped the tag titles while on the main roster, and then like kind of just teetered as a low card tag team.
mhm.
And I, she seems supremely talented. She's a good in hand, good ring hand. Um, I think had they given her a chance to kind of like define her character so much. Um,
So what I was gonna say is, what if there's more to this WWE TNA deal than we're first seeing? And what if some of these things that were being told publicly aren't 100% on the level?
I
What
mean, it
if some
makes.
of these what if some of these are technically trades to TNA and this is all actually setting up for a TNA invasion? And the big reason that I say that is because what's better to lead an invasion than a group of disgruntled former employees? And these would be superstars that we're already familiar with.
I mean, that's an interesting theory. I think if there was a little more star power in this release, I'd be willing to entertain it a little more. Um, yeah, I saw your comment, Daniel. Yes, Elektra Lopez got released, even though she was in a backstage segment on SmackDown this past week. Um, and then
And that was
Giovanni Vinci.
pre-recorded. That was pre-recorded.
Yeah, it had to been. um,
No, I know for a fact it was. Like I already saw the report that they had two pre-recorded segments with her.
oh, I must have missed that when I was reading. And then yeah, Giovanni Vinci. There's a lot of rumors. Some stuff that happened between him and Ludwig Kaiser. I'm not gonna divulge into people's personal lives. It is what it is. And then the Good Brothers. This one actually kind of shocked me because they've kind of been everywhere at this point, and obviously they're doing the Shop and Talk podcast now. So it'll be interesting to hear what they're gonna do. I have a feeling they're gonna make their way back to New Japan and probably TNA. It seems to be where they've kind of kept their hung their hats at. I think they burned some bridges in AEW, so I don't expect to see them there.
Well, that was another team, that kind of surprised me a little bit, and it's what kind of led to some of that thought that I was saying about a TNA invasion. I think they'd be a good part of that. You combine them with Vinci and Nick Nemeth,
All fits
and then
people.
you Ziggler, and then we also just saw the return of Fandango. Oh my god. That was my favorite thing in NXT this week, by the way. I know we don't normally cover NXT, but
Yeah,
God,
they
was
didn't
it
show.
great to see Fandango back. And I love that he came out to his old music. Like that made me pop a little bit.
Yeah,
But if you throw those guys together and then, give them just a little bit of backing with some guys like Moose,
Ace is an ace eight, but with extra steps.
extra steps.
Yeah, and then Duke Hudson was the last one at the end of January. We're not sure what happened there. That just kind of came to light within the last week. Obviously, he was associated with Chase U. Chase U was a really interesting gimmick in NXT. They kind of just never capitalized on doing more with it than they could have.
I was kind of surprised they ended that the way that they did.
Me too. I was just
I
like that the whole. It makes more sense now with how they ended it with him getting released because I guess clearly that was the plan. Yeah,
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 it just seemed like that was like I really thought that was a gimmick that was going to make its way to the main roster eventually.
yeah. It seemed like
That's the way that one
a
felt.
campy mid card gimmick. Yeah, they are the company that refuses to die. Dan, you are correct.
That is yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So I guess we'll move right on to studs and duds this week. There was a lot going on between all four shows. Jay Uso, I'm just gonna hit the ground running here. A lot of people were shitting on him winning the Rumble, you included. I was not 100% sold. Um, this promo that he cut this past Raw was really good. The tension with Gunther is there. Um, his promo work on SmackDown with Cody and Jacob Fatu was great. I'd be really interested to see if they have him drop down to NXT or maybe even pop up in TNA. That'd be a really interesting way to go
I
about
just really feel like all right, so okay. Um I'll give you a little spoiler, Evan. I did see just a tiny clip of Raw on YouTube before we started, and I do know that Jay has accepted Gunther as his WrestleMania opponent. Shock! I know.
Shocker.
We were both thinking he was going to choose Cody, right? Uh, um. All right. So now that this is the story that WWE has decided to tell. All right. I think that the only way to embrace this is to kind of give it the Rocky treatment.
Yeah.
It, um,
Make Gunther Apollo Cruz or Ivan
yeah,
Drago.
yep.
Have Jay grow his beard out, do training seconds. Well, kind of like Mean Gene and Hogan did with their tag match back in the 80s, how they had the training session, the lead into WrestleMania. Why not?
Well, so what I would love to see, I think this would be an awesome series of vignettes that you could do leading to WrestleMania. I want Roman Reigns to come to Jay and to say, listen, I've fought you. I've fought you when everything was on the line, when it was the main event, when you like you had all the fire in the world to take me down, and I beat you. If you don't want to lose, it's time you come to the Tribal Chiefs Island of Relevancy.
Yeah, that's
Take a
exactly what I was going to pitch, actually. Like, that would be sweet. Like, have them training together. Like, you remember in Rocky when Mickey says you're going to eat lightning, you're going to crap thunder? Same type of vibe. Have him chasing
hmm
chickens around the fucking island. Have him doing all types of things to get prepped for Gunther.
Yep.
Because then by doing this, you make Gunther seem even more insurmountable. You make him seem like he's even bigger, and it redeems Gunther's really shitty title reign at this point.
It really does. And by Roman and if Roman Reigns does that, it's actually giving a huge rub to Gunther just in the fact that Roman Reigns is almost putting Gunther on the Roman Reigns level by saying that.
Well, and it's kind of like in Rocky 2 when Apollo, or not Rocky 2, Rocky 3, when Apollo came to train Rocky after he lost to Clubber Lang.
hmm
It's a redemption arc for Roman, where we see him and Jay have that moment, that come to Jesus moment, where they're like, "Hey, we need to hash this out, Oos," and we then we can actually get because until now, yeah, Roman's over. He's a babyface. He's being presented as a babyface. He hasn't had that come to Jesus moment. He hasn't had to face the music of 4 years of terror. People talk about Triple H's reign of terror. Roman Reigns is it was a lot longer.
Well, and
Yeah,
this is something that Roman could do too while being injured.
yeah.
You know,
I
he's
think
he's
I think they're
injured
running an
right now.
injury angle from the Rumble with Seth's double stomp on him on the steps to keep him away, so he doesn't have to get in the chamber and get pinned. That's just my personal opinion, which makes sense. I'm pretty sure John Cena is winning the chamber at the way they're going. It's either Cena or Punk. Um, that's where the money I think is. There's an argument for Logan Paul maybe being a box office draw. Not how I would do it, but if you're looking
No,
at money,
no.
he's trying. He's
You've
yeah, but
already
he's
okay. The Jey Uso Gunther match is that match that you're talking about. The like, oh wait, what could happen here? You know, kind of match. Because
yeah.
I still maintain that I do not think that it's a guarantee that Jay wins this match.
That's entirely possible. They could run. I mean, we've seen them commit to running another year-long thing. Jay
Hmm.
could lose at Mania and then have to earn his way back there and win the Rumble again. I think it would be kind of lazy, honestly, though, to have 4 years in a row of that. Like I know Triple H is very big on his timelines and keeping things consistent, and sometimes he's a little lazy when it comes to the double booking of like how things are presented throughout the shows. For the love of God, Paul, please do not do that. We can't handle that. We cannot handle it.
I will say that if Jay was to win the uh, the world title, I would find it very entertaining. I Jimmy Uso winning the Money in the Bank would be very entertaining.
That would be entertaining. That WrestleMania match, I know their
Oh,
time got
no,
cut.
they don't. No. I don't want to see him wrestle again. I don't like. If I've learned one thing over the years, it's that while on paper putting two brothers against each other is an awesome idea, and it worked great for like Brett and Owen. Like Matt and Jeff had multiple feuds, and I don't know if they had a good match. Like I think they had one good match,
In
maybe.
TNA. One good match in TNA. Like that's it. Like their WWE matches were shit.
They had no. There was one in WWE I remember, and I think it was more just because it was a ladder match and Jeff was doing his sick spots. So, well, hey man, a
I
good Jeff
know.
Hardy match is still a good Jeff Hardy match.
Yeah,
You
20 years
down on
ago.
me for that? Yeah. Well, I didn't say today. No,
Yeah, Cody
Jeff
and
took all those bumps, 20 years ago, so he didn't have to take them today.
that's fair. Yeah, Cody and Jay had a great tag match against Jacob Fatu. Uh, this whole return of Solo Sikoa, though, Simone spiking Cody in the throat. I don't know. Is he the
That
filler
felt
feud to lead to Mania?
very well. Okay. So the thing is it was a direct callback to WrestleMania, both of
Yeah,
them. Like right back to having the hood up again, deliver the spin around into the spike. It was exactly what he did at both WrestleManias. So I I don't know. Like after the loss to Roman, um, after the loss to Roman, Solo said like if he lost, he'd go over the Ulafala. He would acknowledge Roman as the tribal chief. He didn't actually acknowledge Roman. He hasn't been in the ring again with Roman, which I kind of think is bullshit at this point. Just being
yeah.
honest.
Like it's kind of lazy in my opinion.
Um,
I don't know what their plan is here. Maybe it's a filler feud to build Cody towards Mania to keep since Cena's going to be off filming. Maybe it's the match um
I do think
at Teamer, but
that
like
I do think it would be interesting if Solo his motivation for spiking Cody I did it for Jay. I'm trying to get back in the good graces of the bloodline. Jay has like because Jay at that point he hadn't chosen Gunther. He was
Yeah.
potentially going to choose Cody. So then you go, okay, like if you choose Cody, like I'm going to help you take Cody down. You know, that might be where his character motivation is going. The problem is like as we build to WrestleMania, I really have the question of is there a match for Solo at WrestleMania? Like,
Not until
is
we know.
Solo versus Jacob Fatu what we're trying to build to? And if so, um, while I know they like a lot of subtlety in the bloodline angles, you need a little bit
This year,
less so that we can get moving here.
yeah, that's been my biggest problem with this particular thing. Because last we saw Solo, he had a mic, was going to talk, and then didn't talk, and then he just left. And he never acknowledged Roman Reigns as his tribal chief. He never, helped. I mean, he was getting his ass beat for months. Like, he shouldn't be challenging for a world title, let alone a mid card title at this point. Like, I I personally would go the opposite direction. I
I
would
think it
have
was
him
I think it
implode.
was a big mistake they didn't put a mid card title on him.
Yes,
It was
I agree.
like
Even if some of
what
the
are you really
stupidity.
doing with the United States Championship that you couldn't have put it on Solo Sokoa when he's supposed to be this new dominant leader of the new bloodline? Like it didn't have to be the top belt, but you could have given him the secondary title.
Yeah, Shinsuke Nakamura's appeared like what once on TV.
You know, I don't understand what's going on with Shinsuke. That's a real, dud in my opinion. Is just like everything with Shinsuke.
It's
I
just a
I
guy
really like
missing.
Shinsuke Nakamura,
It's
but
just a
he's been
guy.
booked so inconsistently in WWE uh, as a whole that it's hard to take him seriously as any kind of credible force. I mean, this is a guy who Shinsuke won the Royal Rumble a few years back, and then he got jobbed out so hard to AJ Styles that like just never recovered, man.
Hmm. I got nothing on that, man. Um,
Facts are
yeah, I
facts.
do think I do think it's a missed opportunity. But like I think Solo's gonna go the opposite route. I think he's gonna implode and take out everybody related to the bloodline. I think he's your third man in the McIntyre Kevin Owens crash out crew. That'd be an
The
interesting story.
crash out crew. I like that. Cock.
They're full of big sweaty men with their cocks.
Oh God, what's the most powerful stable in WWE? Cock.
I can hear now Michael Cole, and we have cock entering the ring. And I hear Pat McAfee going, "Yeah, man, they know how to take a pounding and give one."
Cock is in the ring. These guys are a bunch of dicks.
Careful, he's gonna blow. For those of you
Wow.
out there, Brian and I will intentionally try to pop each other, make ourselves break. Uh, well, I forget what I got you with a few weeks ago at the end of the broadcast, but that was a good one. Yeah, honestly, Raw this week was pretty solid. SmackDown continues to be the land of mediocrity. I know it's a play on words with opportunity. I just,
No, I'll be honest. I liked SmackDown this week.
it was
Like
better than it had been, but that's because they actually had a few stars on it.
I I I felt like I liked SmackDown this week because I felt like it was WWE actually responding to what happened at the Royal Rumble as opposed to what happened on Raw. The Charlotte Flair, switch over. I felt like, it was interesting because with Jey Uso, I really felt like they we're actually considering Jey Uso versus Cody Rhodes. I think there was a minute there where they were like, okay, we've booked this now. Clearly the fans aren't happy with it. Do we pivot over to Cody Rhodes and do Jey Uso versus Cody Rhodes? I think there was that legit discussion. There we go. There we go. All right, Dan. That's exactly what we needed to see.
I'm going to be screen capping that.
Oh man.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Worth it. Oh, but yeah, it was really interesting. So Penta, his booking so far, interesting to me. They've continued to make him seem like a big star. They've spent years searching for their next Rey Mysterio. Many people have claimed. I think Penta's obviously more than that. It's a little reductive to just say he's the next Rey Mysterio. It's like the reductive argument that people have in hockey. He's the next Wayne Gretzky or the next Gordie Howe, or the reductive argument when people are saying LeBron's the next MJ.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I say this as a certified LeBron hater for the first like 10 years of his career. I couldn't stand him. It's really reductive to these athletes to do that, and it's lazy. Do better.
Well, I mean, I understand it to an extent. You have these legendary figures, and you want to see a second coming. Like, you want to see, Jesus rise from the grave. But the thing is that's never going to be. It's never going to be the same, because okay, in the 1980s we had Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was the biggest name in wrestling in the 1980s, whether we like it or not. And a big part of that had to do with the culture of the 1980s. By the time we get to
Reaganomics.
the mid to late 1990s, the culture had changed drastically, and so now the counterculture coming out and NWO and Stone Cold Steve Austin, that's the hottest thing.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
well, it's attitude. It appealed
The
to
Rock.
women.
The Rock. People. I'm not saying he wasn't over, but realistically, The Rock also got mega over when he was going up against Vince McMahon. He was doing the exact same shit that Stone Cold Steve Austin was doing. Like he needed that. Uh, he needed to be against the man, and Vince was the man.
Yeah,
The way that society uh, is going to directly reflect on who the biggest star or stars of the moment are,
yeah,
because it's that audience that is needing to embrace something.
yeah.
So you're
And
never
well,
going to be able to have a do over.
yeah, no, and I mean I get it. People, well, and it's a fascination we have with nostalgia as a society, and just wanting to recapture our youth and what was popular then. I get why people do it. Like you said, Hulk Hogan, the Hulkamania first hit the scene, what was 83, 84?
Yeah.
That was peak
Um,
Reaganomics,
I
man.
think 80. No, I think he first showed up. Well, he first showed up in WWE in '79,
Yeah, I
but
mean, like
that was a short-lived
Hulkamania, like
stint.
when he beat Iron Sheik. It was like early 80s.
Um, I believe that was '83. I could be wrong on that.
Well, here on the podcast, we're going to check our fact. 1984. So it was close. So that
Damn.
was peak Reaganomics. That was like heading into Ronald Reagan's second term. There was a big like mass appeal towards like patriotism and like America's expanding global reach and like the small movements and countercultures within that were interesting too that you would see in wrestling. Um,
The
early
closest
90s.
the closest thing that we saw to the patriotism of the 1980s was the John Cena era, uh, with
Yeah.
the Marine John Cena, and I think that was a direct response to, to 9/11 and the war in Afghanistan and everything that
Well,
politically
yeah,
was going on in the country at the time.
yeah, like you talked about with like the '90s. Yeah, I mean, we had the new generation in wrestling and like the Attitude Era. That was reflective of counterculture, everything that was the antithesis of Reaganism, and everything that like the Clintonian era was about. Booming growth and like you know deep connection with counterculture. Grunge, for instance, like Raven the Flock. That's all inspired by grunge bands like Nirvana.
Well,
And like,
it really speaks to the intelligence of turning Hulk Hogan heel and having him be the leader of the bad guy group. Like, he is the the bad guy. He is the culture, and now the counterculture is taking over. So therefore, he is the bad guy. I mean, I'll never forget, Bobby Heenan on commentary when Hogan turned heel. Just see, I told you all along.
that was my favorite moment of that pay per view to this day. But yeah, so we had CM Punk and Sami Zayn. They had a fantastic Elimination Chamber qualifying match. Interesting thing happened afterwards. CM Punk going over. KO attacked Sami. I think we all saw this coming. They've said it before. They're destined to do this forever. We're gonna probably get a proper WrestleMania feud out of them for this. I'm hoping we get something different. We've seen this match. We've seen this match a lot. I need this to be the last KO versus Sami Zayn match for a long, long time.
I need. I'm not against Sami Zayn and KO having a match at WrestleMania, but they have been so glued to each other for for several years now, and whether it's as opponents or as tag team partners or
Just
whatever.
hanging.
And I think part of the reason that Sami Zayn with the Bloodline worked so well is because it was us getting to see Sami Zayn interact and be entertaining with other individuals outside of Kevin Owens.
Yeah, and
You
that's
know,
kind of where.
my favorite Kevin Owens stuff, honestly, is I I love watching Kevin Owens and Michael Cole. Those two have chemistry together. When Kevin had stolen the winged eagle, they did a throwback to those old uh, interviews, sit down interviews they did, and Michael Cole had to come out to KO's car, and god damn, like, it's really clear these guys are entertaining as hell, and they don't have to just be with each other. I get that this is uh, a match that was done on a feud that carried from the Indies over into NXT, over onto main roster. I understand the appeal of doing it on WrestleMania to give it that climax, but I agree with you. This has got to be the end.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, but I don't think either one of them can afford to lose. That's part of the problem. They're gonna have to do a lot of work to get me back interested in this. I just,
I
I'm not calling it a dud yet, but like, you need to convince me. You have to sell me on this.
I don't think there's a way that Sami Zayn wins this. I think
I
Sami
don't know.
Zayn has the Sami Zayn has the kind of character that, like, he takes a licking and keeps on ticking. He keeps coming back even after the hard loss. I think that if this is the end, like you and I both hope it is, that it needs to have like an emotional payoff to it, like a final emotional payoff to it. But real talk, like, and I talked about this going into the Royal Rumble. KO has been done real dirty.
He hasn't won lately at all either. Neither one of them has really won. So like, you're kind of booking yourself into a corner where either KO fans are going to be upset if he loses. Yay, Sami Zayn goes over, and maybe this is a 3 month long build. That we have Elimination Chamber, which is in Canada. They're both from Canada. Maybe this is leading to that where it starts.
Well, okay. Here's the other part of this, and this goes back to WrestleMania with the Intercontinental Championship and Gunther versus Sami Zayn. Okay, I would really argue that that loss to like most of the time, you win a match, you lose a match, it doesn't really matter all that much. But Gunther's loss to Sami Zayn, that fucking mattered.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
It, it
you even
wasn't
give
just
KO
that
that.
Gunther lost; he kind of lost to someone that was beneath him. And I hate saying like I love Sami Zayn. You know I'm a huge Sami Zayn fan. Sami Zayn is a heel. I would be down for seeing again. I love heel Sami Zayn. Um, I just if Sammy beats KO and that's how this all ends, I just don't see how KO is ever recovers in the same way that I think like Gunther's had a very, very difficult time recovering, and I think Gunther's world title run has been a disappointment in part because of that loss to Sami Zayn.
I don't disagree with you. And I'm not even sure who I want to win that match. I need to see how they're gonna book it. But like the way that I think it's gonna go, I think they're gonna book Sammy to go over. I think KO's gonna beat him in Canada. I think he's gonna beat him like hurt him in the build up to it. Like we're gonna see some like devastation. But Sammy's gonna go over on the biggest stage of all. I don't want it to be that. I want KO to get the win. I do. I just they haven't done enough with it. The problem is it's the same side of the coin, or different other side of the coin. Kevin Owens, yeah, he's a former Universal Champion, 10 years ago. At this point, you've done nothing to. He lost 6 Royal Rumbles in a row for World Championship opportunities. 6. You have done nothing to make me think he's a threat outside of the package pile driver. And if you can, great. But I'm waiting. It is not. I am not excited to see this match on the card. I'm willing to give you a chance.
I would
Sell me.
I would be more interested in this storyline, dead ass. Keep Sammy off of WrestleMania.
Build it towards next year.
Yes. If that package pile driver is so devastating that it robbed Sami Zayn of a WrestleMania and that's the story for the next WrestleMania, okay. Okay, I am in with it. But
I could be down with that.
but this just seems like the exact same thing you did with Cody Rhodes and it's the same thing too soon. Like
Mm-hmm.
I need that. Like if you're gonna do this again with the package pile driver into the injury angle, I think it's much more compelling to have Sami Zayn out of WrestleMania and forced to watch. Like I like how sick would that be as a heel of Kevin Owens to like his music hits right to come out and he doesn't come out right away. And then you see him back. What's going on? Oh, he's grabbing Sami Zayn in a goddamn wheelchair, and he's forcing Sami Zayn. He's wheeling him right out to ringside to force him to watch him at WrestleMania, and Sami doesn't get to be there. Like there is emotional stuff that you could put in it. It could be just like fantastic.
Well, I was thinking
And
have KO call him out week after week after week, and he just calls Sammy a coward. WrestleMania hits, KO comes out, Sammy's music hits, nobody comes out.
Nobody comes out, and then KO's just laughing. The old
Yeah, he
Shawn
gets
Michaels
mad.
bit.
Yep.
Oh, I'd love that. I'd love that. I'd love that because it'd kind of be it'd also be kind of a callback to him versus Austin too. It'd be kind of
Yeah.
and like you can still have somebody come out and fight on like to champion Sami Zayn against Kevin Owens, but KO's got to
And
win.
yeah. We had Drew McIntyre winning the triple threat with Jimmy Uso and LA Knight on SmackDown. Uh, I can tell when I'm typing on my phone versus when I'm typing on my computer because promo autocorrects to a different P-related word.
I was laughing reading those notes this afternoon. I'll just tell you. Sami Zayn, by the way, is still my favorite on there. All Z's.
Oh, trying to do stuff on your lunch break at work to make sure the podcast gets out on time. You do what you gotta do. So a
We
lot of people are
appreciate you.
thinking that in the match was a shoot fight between McIntyre and LA Knight. From what I've been reading, it's actually a work. They were just kind of trying to be playful about it after a tense Royal Rumble situation. McIntyre winning here was the correct choice. Jimmy's not in a position to be challenging in the chamber. LA Knight, he's not quite at that level yet. I'd like him. I think give him a couple years to, really get to that level. Sure.
LA Knight should have a couple close calls going after the title. Like give him a couple of title matches on TV. I think it'd
Honestly,
be a good
I,
spot for him because I think that's something that's been missing on WWE programming lately is seeing world title matches on TV again. Come on.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, what I would like in Mania, I would like LA Knight to turn heel, and I'd like him and R-Truth to have a match. Think Rock Mankind. Think about it. Rock and Mankind. That's
I
the
can
vibe.
see that. I can see that. That could
LA
be.
Knight versus face, and when you don't have to do the outlandish chair shot, but he could do some horrendous shit where R-Truth finally snaps and like he gets serious, and we get Ron Killings
Oh,
or
I
Little
don't
Jimmy.
think you need. See, I don't think you necessarily need our like. I don't need our truth to get serious. Our truth can still be that comedy act, but I think it's almost even better if he's that comedy act who's still incredibly dangerous in the ring. Like I think it should be emphasized. I think we're at a point with our truth, and kind of like where we got to with Mark Henry.
Yeah.
Mark Henry had his whole sexual chocolate era and everything, and then one day, you know, it was kind of switched, and now he's a legit threat. And part of the reason he was a legit threat wasn't just because of the change in attitude, wasn't just because of the fact he's strong. It's because he has that experience factor of
Mm-hmm.
being there for a long time, and our truth has more time in than fucking anybody else right now.
I sometimes forget he's in his 50s. That's
And he looks
unbelievable.
phenomenal, dude. I wish I had the body of our truth. That dude is fucking jacked.
I'm gonna let that easy joke go.
Damn. Thought I was gonna break you for a second there. You looked like you were
Ah,
gonna break. God,
well, I was close.
God.
Have R-Truth lead Cox into battle. It'll get Brian H-A-R-D.
It's a good time to bring up our sponsor for the show. Make sure to use the code Standards of Greatness at enforcechew.com for your 25% off of your next order of Enforce Chew. It'll make you.
H-A-R-D.
There you go.
Yeah, guys. So, personally, the rest of WWE programming this week was kind of weak to me. I'm kind of over the LWO New Day feud. It just feels like filler. I don't think they capitalized on the Big E stuff like they should have. It's like I told you it was going to be go away heat, and not in a good way, but nobody wanted to listen to me.
Well, I
Uh,
think I just think it's some poor execution with them. Like you turn a team like the
on both
New Day
worlds.
heel, you turn a team like the New Day heel, and then okay, and I think we talked about this a little bit last week with the abundance of heel tag teams over on SmackDown, um, and just in the WWE in general right now.
Well, there's
But
two.
like the New Day should have been a team that was like after they had that heel turn, after they had that shift in attitude, they should have been going back after a babyface tag team champion.
Yep, they should have immediately. I would have paired them. I would have kept them. Honestly, I think they blew their wad with DI, putting the belts back on DIY too soon. I would have had New Day challenge Motor City Machine Guns. That would have been a banger of a series. So I had an interesting thought earlier today, and I was realizing, what if we took Pretty Deadly and turned them babyface?
I was thinking about that too, actually, watching some stuff earlier this week. I
Now
think
guess
it's
what?
possible. Um, I think that they need to, if they're going to do that, they need to lean a little bit more into the comedy side
Mm-hmm.
of it. Um, but
Like
yeah,
they
I
did
do think
the
that is possible. I do
yeah,
think
right.
that's
I think
possible.
that's a solution, and it kind of remedies the whole thing we were discussing last week about not having enough babyface tag teams. I still think they need to probably develop a couple more babyface tag teams. Daniel's like, oh, now you talk positively about. Yes, Dan. Yes, I am fickle. Daniel Bryan was right. I am fickle.
No, I still maintain that I think Pretty Deadly has a ceiling.
Yeah, no, I
Like
mean, it,
I didn't like you're asking me. Okay, like all right, if you go back to the Attitude Era, there was a team called the Oddities. Okay, they were they'd come out, they'd dance, they had ICP doing their theme song. It was a party. It was fun, but it had a ceiling.
mhm.
Again, they were never going to be the team. Are they entertaining? Sure, definitely. And I think Pretty Deadly could fill a babyface role in WWE right now, but I don't think what's this?
Oh God. Oh no! Wait! It gets even better. Oh my God!
It's
It's
a hand.
oh God.
It'll be a hand. Don't you
This
get
this
it?
this one you can tell that Daniel is like either drunk or high. Um,
I'm gonna go with drunk.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it too.
Hmm. We don't let you on the podcast when you're drunk.
It's true. We didn't let Chris on when he was smoking. While we are a 420 friendly group, we try to adhere to not doing that on camera.
Yeah, what do you think this is? The
Yeah, but that's
debut of Raw on Netflix?
yeah. I mean,
Jeez. Can I just point out? Can I just? Okay, look. I'm gonna say this. They're. I really think Rob Van Dam needs to go into the WWE Hall of Fame this year.
thought he was already in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Well, is he?
I think so.
I didn't think he was yet.
1 second. Let me. Pretty sure they showed him in the crowd as
He
a
can
Hall of
be in the.
Famer. Yeah, he was in class of 2021. The Thunderdome
Oh,
era.
all right. Well, then we need. Well, that's why I don't know about it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure
It
he's
was
in there,
during COVID. None of that stuff actually happened.
dude. So the entire time the Thunderdome was happening, when that last episode that they filmed of that, I really wanted Michael Cole to look dead ass Drew Carey style into the camera and say, "Welcome to the Thunderdome." It's all made up and nothing happened. Daniel has
Yeah,
terrible,
that
terrible fucking ideas.
I I really I really think that yeah, that may have been the darkest period uh, of wrestling.
Ironically, that was AEW's apex.
Right, because AEW is still new
That
and
was
they
the
were still
start of,
trying
that was
to,
the
to
start of
like
their apex.
find something.
Like
Yeah.
they were climbing up, and like 2021, 2022 is kind of when they hit their ceiling. And it's kind of all been downhill after 2023 for them, unfortunately.
No, the problem was is they let fans into the arena. And
Fickle, fickle fuckers. Is it fickle, fickle fuckers, or is it fickle, pickle fuckers like Daniel?
we'll have to
We
ask
have
him
to
next
ask
week.
him.
Do you want to breeze through AEW real quick here with the studs
Yeah,
and
after I
duds? Or
swallow my vomit here, oh my god. Nobody wants to bring Vince McMahon back. It's bad enough I had to see him at the Super Bowl.
Vince McMahon was at the Super Bowl along with
Shane and Undertaker.
Undertaker and Shane McMahon and Taylor Swift and Donald Trump. You know, interestingly enough, I'm gonna point this out again here, Evan. You show all these people on the big Tron. Donald Trump gets booed. Taylor Swift gets booed, but the Undertaker does never gets booed.
And it
The
goes back to
Undertaker
what we
never
said.
gets booed.
That goes back to what we said about the Hulk Hogan thing. You can have shitty opinions, and people will still like you. But if you're a shitty person, people will boo you.
Or if you're dating someone on the Chiefs, they'll boo you for that too.
I mean, that's fair. Honestly,
Sorry,
she's a
sorry.
billionaire. He's got tons of money and his podcast, and which I love his brother and his podcast. They remind me so much of like me and my cousins growing up. It's interesting to see the dynamics. But to kind of breeze through AEW, honestly, AEW Dynamite, I didn't really have anything negative to say about this week at all. From top to bottom, there was really good stuff. My one caveat might be Mark Davis's return. For those who don't know, he's a former member of the United Empire that teamed with Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher in the United Empire in New Japan. I think that should have been done at the pay-per-view. I think Mark Davis should have returned to cost Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay the match. I think that would have been far better storytelling, in my opinion. That said, the match was still good that they had. It's exciting to see, the Callis stuff as it finally starts to hit where it should end.
My issues with AEW this week like I still have some. A lot of it comes down to pacing of the show
Yeah.
that I thought was beyond. Like it felt very stop and go, and then suddenly sprint through like 8 things.
Collision was a lot like that, in my opinion. I mean, I think I counted 3 squash matches on the show. Let me see. We got Dustin Rhodes had a squash match. Mariah May, the world champion, had a squash match.
I agreed with that. I agreed with that decision.
I'm
Actually,
fine with them doing that. My problem is like they did it to feed into Tony Storm doing another attack. Which, by the way, for those of you who haven't watched the clip, go watch Tony Storm as Mariah May. You'll thank me later. And then honestly, Thunder Rosa versus Penelope Ford was kind of a squash match, in my opinion. There's a lot of miscues. Penelope missed the turnbuckle, I think, once or twice in the match. Commentary tried to kind of cover it up, but it was so far apart that you couldn't not see it.
So the way that I took that one was a call to go home.
Yeah, that's kind of how I took it too. Megan Bain, Megasis, new signee to AEW. She's got her version of an F5, and for those of you who don't know who she is, not only does she have the look, she's got the size. She's a tall, big woman. Like her, Chris Statlander, two very, very big, like, brawler types. Like, you could probably put Megan Bain as a female Brock Lesnar, minus not looking like Brock Lesnar.
So, yeah, that's what we have his daughter for. That poor girl.
No, he's gonna find you. That's why I cringed. I was like, oh, he's gonna gut you like
No,
a
no,
deer.
I was just thinking. I was just thinking like because we know both genetic sides
Yeah,
on that one, and you're like, all right, so
I think it was from the previous.
you could look like your mom or you could look like your dad. Oh man, poor girl.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with Megan Bain. I think if done right, they could build her into an actual star. My one caveat is we really haven't heard her on the mic. I haven't seen her really cut a promo lately, for it all. I need to know if she can speak. Otherwise, get her a Heyman type esque manager ASAP.
I think no, get her a Heyman type manager anyway. Look,
Well,
it
yeah,
was never that Brock had an inability to speak. Brock can talk, but the presentation is so much more menacing if he doesn't talk. If she doesn't talk.
exactly. Go. That's how you end a career.
Trying so hard not to let this podcast get political. And every time I leave, they suck me back in.
Oh man, it was worth it. I'm not putting that out there, Daniel. Anyways, yeah, but AEW, yeah, pacing's a big issue. That was weird. And then yeah, I just don't like that many squash matches on a card. Just in my opinion, I think it's 1 to 2.
It's a very 1970s TV style of booking.
Yeah, I get it.
And it only serves one side. And that's the problem with it. Ultimately it's kind of like what we were saying at the beginning of the podcast, or I was saying at the beginning of the podcast about, building for the now or building for the future. You invest that 3 minutes of TV time into someone who can, work, and get a couple of their own things in and then lose. That's still somebody who can be more believable down the line than somebody who just gets killed. People remember that shit.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with you. I guess I'm not a big fan of it. I guess maybe 1970s style wrestling might not have been my jam for TV back then. I guess, but yeah.
It was only good at the main event level, and that was the problem with it.
Yeah. Our topic for the week. So the Elimination Chamber is on the horizon. I'm excited. Chamber is always one of my favorite pay-per-views. I still recall when they had Edge cash in on Cena after his. Could be an interesting way to swerve things. Have Cody defend in the Chamber. Maybe that gets that something out. Our topic for the week is our dream chambers. So I know we originally talked about bringing Daniel on. Do you still want to do that, or you want to just give our thought?
We can bring Daniel on as long as she's going to behave.
I'm a little scared of loose cannon Daniel Roberts.
That's okay. I like a loose cannon. We can always kick him off.
I'm going to send you this. Better not act out of pocket. Wear a hat.
Now, originally we had all talked about each giving 2 people
I think
for our dream chamber. Do you want to give just the 2, or do you want to give a full 6?
I think we should give a full 6. I mean, we're doing really good on time tonight. It's an hour and 20 minutes. We should we should each be able to take 10 minutes to talk about this.
Okay.
And then
So then standard ground rules. We decided this was going to be a dream match scenario, so that would mean that we're talking about wrestlers who are potentially deceased, who are no longer, active. And I think that it's only fair to also, pick an era of time that you're talking about. If you want to talk about Hulk Hogan being in your elimination chamber, then you should clarify whether we're talking about 1985, 1995, 2005 Hulk Hogan.
if you do choose 2005 Hogan, just know you will be judged.
You absolutely will be.
I think in 2005 he was having matches with Big Show on the indie circuit because they both were not in WWE and not anywhere else.
I thought he was in TNA in 2005.
I think that was 2008 or 2009.
It was a little bit later. It might have been
Yeah, it was
a
a
little
little
bit later.
later because yeah. So Daniel, I sent you the link. We'll give you a couple minutes to join us. We're gonna hold you to that. It's not gonna be out of pocket. Even better. Keep your hands.
Cock.
And then he comes on with this name.
Welcome back, Daniel.
How are you guys?
So we have altered the rules of this little game today that we're doing. Instead of just 2, it's going to be a full 6.
There we go.
For the chamber that you got to come up with. I think this is good because I really think that it's a full dynamic of the chamber that really makes the match.
All right. So how do you guys want to do this? Do you want to give your full 6, or do we want to do like 1 from each? I think a full 6 from each of us should take 10 minutes each. We explain where they're at.
Are we doing just the men's, or are we doing like women's and tag squad?
If it's a dream chamber of yours, you can do a dream chamber of all women. You can do intergender if you really want to. I just ask that you don't do something stupid.
No.
Like Great Khali on a full match in the Sun Chamber.
Jesus Christ.
I know you're like the British Vince Russo.
I mean, I would probably come up with something like that.
Okay. I want to get this one out of the way right now. There's a part of me that wants to be like, all right, I want to have the greatest comedy rumble of all time. I want to have like, give me Bushwhacker Luke, Doink the Clown, Santino Marella, R-Truth.
I mean, Santino will probably win. I mean, he nearly won it before, so.
Well, I think we can all debate who would win each of these
chambers
after.
Chamber. A lot less comedy be had to be in the chamber.
Yeah, hey. You put a certain group of guys into a chamber together, and I guarantee you, they would make sure that shit had laughs.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start. If you guys want. So my dream chamber. I'm gonna get this right out the gate here. I want 1970s Andre the Giant. Him at his peak.
Ooh,
before he started to have wear and tear. When he was the biggest draw wrestler. We're talking Andre, like super strong Andre, like I think the only person that had slammed him before that was some guy in Japan.
I think clearly Evan's getting the double enforced Chamber for his that big show chamber. Okay. All right.
So the reason that I really think Andre, I would love to see Andre's reaction to something like the Elimination Chamber, because the closest thing they had back then to that were steel cages, scaffolding matches.
True.
Things, Andre was not big on heights from what we've learned. So it would be really interesting to watch Andre kind of get a little claustrophobic in a pod. Have him freak out, break out, and smash his way out. We've done it with Brock. Which brings me to number 2. The reigning, defending beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar, in the same chamber with peak Andre the Giant.
Jesus Christ.
I'm starting to see the direction this chamber's going, and I'm not opposed at all. Who else you got?
So obviously, Brock is going to be one of your strongmen here. Peak Brock, there was nobody who was stopping him unless he wanted you to stop him. But we need an ass kicker. We need another brawler. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold has never competed in an Elimination Chamber, man. I want Stone Cold motherfucking Steve Austin inside an Elimination Chamber match put there by peak Vince McMahon. We're talking like peak Austin 316. I want McMahon to put him in there as number 1.
Bounty on his head.
Number 4. Woo! The Nature Boy, Ric Flair. This gives us, well, I'm going to find a way to work him in. Peak Ric Flair, 1970s, 1980s Ric Flair with the 4 Horsemen, late 70s, early 80s. I think it'd be a really interesting dynamic to have Flair on the inside of the chamber, the Horsemen surrounding it, trying to hand him weapons inside his pod, plotting nefariously. We know Flair can go. We know Flair's one of the best technical wrestlers of all time. But we need someone that's truly technical for number 5. And it's damn true. Peak Angle. TNA Peak Angle.
Peak Angle.
So, for those in the know, we no longer use another nickname. It's Peak Angle now. Because Kurt has expressed that hurts his feelings, and we're going to respect that here.
Yep.
While it was in good jest and he knew our hearts were in the right places, we want to respect Kurt, the legend, and he has earned it. Peak Angle is what it was called. If I see you comment it in the comments, I will ban you from the chat. And then finally, I don't know why, I just really love seeing The Undertaker in a fucking chamber every single time. Just like it. Yeah. It seems like, I know he's that cock for Hell in a Cell, but I always enjoy him more in the.
See, you say that, I was down with this whole thing right up until you said Undertaker. And as soon as you said Undertaker in the chamber, I just had visions of him in the chamber being doused with water after being burned by his pyro. Don't put that man back in a chamber, that poor man.
Wasn't the chamber a pay-per-view?
Yeah. What was the chamber?
I thought that was a random thing.
I swear he was meant to come out like 1 or 2. I don't know. I think it was the first 1 or 2.
He was in a bunch of them, but he's just synonymous with the chamber. And seeing him in the 1990s ministry, you see where I'm going with the storyline. Number 2 is going to be Undertaker. So you're going to have that Austin McMahon Undertaker corporate ministry dynamic surrounded by all these living legends, and watching how they play and feed off of them. And I think that right there would be a really interesting way to tell the story. We're not just booking a match, we're booking a story where Austin's going to have to fight his way in every man to go on to win this match at WrestleMania, to challenge The Rock for the championship. Austin Rock 4. That's how I would book it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Daniel, do you wanna go second?
Okay. I will say one of these is controversial. The other is a kind of you trying to kill him or trying to kill these people in the chamber with this guy. I will let you know that now. So let's get the first one out of the way. New Jack.
Are you trying to have a death club?
Now, hear me out.
Is Mike James
Dude, I heard the first name, and my eyebrows went. Wait, what the hell just happened in this match? Okay.
So is this New Jack versus Nick Gage versus Mike James in a triple threat match?
Dan came to play today. He's a fucking New Jack.
It's my take on the best of ECW chamber. That's the way I look at it.
So a best of ECW
like
chamber.
hardcore ECW.
Are you about to have one of my people? You might have one of my people in your chamber, Daniel.
We'll see. I'm going to get the controversial out of the way. And yes, he didn't win West for ECW. I mean, he kind of did, but not really. Like, it was right near the very end of this person, which Chris Benoit.
He did wrestle technically on the ECW.
He did, yeah, but
I'm sensing a theme of drugs and CTE in this match.
Third one, as Brian said, Nick Gage.
Nick Gage, okay.
So, I didn't say
so,
Nick Gage.
I said Nick Gage because I expected that to be this one, a GCW, ECW character kind of match.
Okay.
Number 4, and this is peak Taz. And this is him at his absolute ECW, like 98, 99 self.
Honestly, like, I've watched a lot of old ECW. His peak was not very long.
No. But I think when he did wrestle for like a short period of time, he was just
he was there for a while, but interesting. So that's number 4.
Number 5. I mean, you can't have a Extreme Chamber without Rhino. I think you've kind of got to have him in there. I think he's a good representation of hardcore ECW for me.
Okay.
And number 6, I decided I'm going to go with this hand.
With who?
The Sandman.
All right, so Daniel has laid out a very, very, very violent and bloody elimination chamber for us.
Oh, actually, let's ask the question. Actually, Evan, who would you have win your chamber?
Austin.
Okay.
Yeah, Evan's chamber was built to be a classic spectacle, with the biggest names, all leading to a he had a very specific goal that he was trying to get to with Austin. If you listen to his story, and I can see with yours that you were going for a very, the bloodiest damn chamber in history.
I was thinking about number 6, but in I can't say, can I?
So,
I was going to put Matt
for my chamber, what I want to see in my chamber is I want to see the most athletic chamber that has ever been put out there. I want to see crazy spots and just yeah. So I'm going to start my chamber with the person that Daniel somehow missed.
Sabu.
The homicidal, suicidal, genocidal Sabu. Hell yeah.
I was debating with him in
that
Sam.
entire
I was
time.
like,
I would have
I
had him
feel
in
like
number
Sam
one.
went to EW more. I don't know why.
96 Sabu.
He was a menace.
Oh yeah.
If you can imagine his athleticism, his ingenuity put into an elimination chamber, and like, take my money, like, already. All right. Number 2. So if I've got Sabu in there, that's one kind of extreme.
Oh no.
But I also like another kind of extreme. Team extreme.
Matt Hardy.
So my second person is the enigmatic enigma, Jeff Hardy. Matt Hardy. No, brother, I'm going Jeff because I want the one who's going to be doing the crazy aerials, who's going to be taking the crazy risks and spots. Don't get me wrong. If I was building a match that was geared to be more like Evans, where it was more storyline based, I think Matt is the better one for that. But for the match I'm trying to have, which is just crazy athleticism, I'm going to go with Jeff.
So, like, not to interrupt, but like, if we structure this as an elimination chamber, where every match is in an elimination chamber, Brian's would start the show, Daniels would be the intermediary, and I would have the main event. Because you're all about hot action, high spots. You're about ultra violence, mine's the story, and on the high note.
Well, I haven't gotten to my finish yet.
True,
Oh,
true,
no.
true.
Here we go.
All right. The third man that I'm putting into my elimination chamber is going to add that little bit of mental twist to the match. The one who is just as athletic as the first two, but who knows how to work the crowd psychologically better. I choose Chris Jericho.
Oh, I was close. It was a Chris.
And to be clear here, I'm not choosing AEW Chris Jericho. I'm choosing like 2002 Chris Jericho.
I thought you would have said 2008 Chris Jericho when he was in that.
That was a picture.
Punching.
Because by then he had changed out. He stopped doing a lot of the flippy shit. By then he was working a more technical, like, style.
All right.
Halfway
Number
there.
4. There was a man last week that Evan was shocked that I left off of the list. Well, he's not getting left off of this one. My number 4 is the Blackheart himself, Owen Hart.
Oh. I thought you were going to say Tommaso Ciampa.
We might have to kick Dan off the podcast for that one.
At least said somebody. He didn't say what's his fucking name. Leo Rush. Because he was wrestling under the Blackheart in New Japan.
No one will suffer.
Number 5 for my chamber is a man who is dangerous, a man who could go technically with Chris Jericho, but could also get just as violent as Sabu ever wanted to.
Shot boy.
My number 5 is Ken Shamrock.
Interesting. Pairs well with Owen, given their history.
And then my last man, the man who I want to win this whole thing, who this whole athletic display is built for, so that they can finally put on like the most incredible clinic imaginable. My winner, the Heartbreak Kid, Mr. WrestleMania himself, Shawn Michaels.
Interesting. It's very interesting. We all took three very different approaches to this match and like what we were doing, but yeah, I can dig all three of these matches.
I
I'm gonna
can
need
too.
I'm gonna need a lot of like splash zone pads for the audience for Daniels. Cause I can just see I can see Nick Gage getting a piece of cutter and trying to cut New Jack, and New Jack says, "Oh hell no!" Turns around and
The idea when as soon as Daniel said New Jack, I was like, all right, Daniel's operating on a whole different card than we are. Like
whole fucking
I
different.
could see yours. I could see yours and mine being on the same pay-per-view card. Daniel's, that would thing would need to go straight to DVD with a censor warning.
I
It'll
will
have
say,
topless women in
off my chamber, you're going to need
It'll be on
a
international waters on a boat. Wait, that's the Jericho.
Like, it's probably going to take at least an hour to get the water blood. Just trying to scrub it away.
At that point, you're getting a new ring, man.
Oh my god.
And
so
also,
okay, so Evan, for Evan's chamber to theoretically work, he would have to have that giant like reinforced chamber. You know, the one that they had for like they it was the chamber with like Lesnar and Mark Henry, and Big Show.
Yeah.
What chamber are you envisioning, Daniel, for the match that you're proposing? Because I believe there's 3 styles of chamber now.
3 or 4.
3 or 4, yeah.
I can see Daniels doing good in the first kind of chamber.
That's the kind I was envisioning with the like hanging chains.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine would be more
a
like
spot where like one of them gets hung up by their leg on it.
It would be more like what's the word, like December to December, where it's got like you got like a chair in there, and then you've got like, tables and that. So basically, just like lots of weapons.
So like, what was the name of that TNA match? Was it Monsters Ball, or was it Clockwork?
No, it was. Is it House of Hardcore? No, Hardcore Justice. I think.
Yeah, like where it was like weapons all along.
Yeah, I believe that was Hardcore Justice.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being a thing.
See, I was thinking for mine. I was thinking like that one that had the higher ceiling, the more of the dome one.
So the one isn't that the one Jeff Hardy won one year? Or was he sitting on top of it?
No. That was in TNA.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That was when he debuted in TNA.
Oh yeah, it's the big massive wedding, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, yeah, I see which one you're talking about. Yeah, I can definitely see your match moving really well in that space. You could have like Sabu do like crazy coast to coast shit through another pod.
Yeah. Now I thought about putting Rob Van Dam in this match too. I also thought about putting Bret Hart in this match, but ultimately because I had Sabu and I had Owen, I didn't want to like overdo it in either of those capacities. Also, Ken Shamrock on occasion has been known to do some high spot stuff. So, it's very rare, but I think in that environment he might be a little more adventurous. So that's why I thought that Ken Shamrock would be a cool addition to the Elimination Chamber and bring a element of danger that like wasn't in there previously. But I think a lot of that was also for the same reason that like you put in Kurt Angle, Evan.
Yep.
That ability to like tap you out because.
Yep. And that's actually that's how Andre would get eliminated with Angle tapping him out. And you know,
I was-
Andre wouldn't do that for just anybody. But like that'd be a huge rub for Angle in that situation, especially peak Angle. And like, imagine the monstrous angle slam he would have to give him.
You see, I was thinking about putting Terry Funk in it. I was like, New Jack would just kill him like straight off the get go. Put him in there with New Jack is a death sentence.
No, that's why you lock him in a cage for a while. Calm the fuck down.
Spray him with a little bit of.
I mean, could you imagine?
New Jack has to be the last one. New Jack would have to be the last one out of the cage. He's just sitting in there pacing back and forth like, motherfucker, I'm gonna shank you.
Although I wouldn't be looking forward to Chris Benoit versus New Jack. That would be a great
Okay,
match.
I thought the first two names that you said were New Jack and then Chris Benoit, and there was a part of me that was like, are you just trying to murder Chris Benoit? Like, are you like, is this how you appease wrestling fans? Is just murder Chris Benoit?
New Jack did not like Benoit. In several interviews after everything happened, he I never liked the motherfucker.
I mean, I could have put Matt Cranley in there, but like, you know what? Let's just put him in there before I picked him for New Jack. But I was like, nah.
Yeah.
I did like the inclusion of the Sandman.
See, I feel like you couldn't have like these strange changes past that, man. I feel like he's free.
What made you choose? I'm curious. What made you choose Rhino over like a Bubba Dudley, a Spike Dudley, Raven, Tommy Dreamer?
I thought he'd choose Big Daddy B because we know Daniel on
I think I was looking at it from like a story aspect, like who's going to be the one to take out the Tan? And I feel like the only one that can really compete with him that isn't like just using weapons would be Rhino.
Mike
That's
Austin.
Sure.
Good list all around, though.
We came in at a pretty. It took like 20 minutes, but we got all of ours in there. I'm impressed, gentlemen. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us this week. As always, make sure you go to force2.com, enter the code SOG25 25% off discount. It will make you a Good night, everybody.
See you next week, everybody.